Hi folks, well I'm back again. I was exercising the children down by the big river this morning and I took my pan with me, and the intention were to do a demonstration pan for Jeff. His Cromwell 13649. I'll put a link in the bottom for his website, for his channel. He goes metal detecting, very nice bloke, lives in Austria, finds some interesting stuff. But I'm going to do a demonstration for him to show him how to pan, because he's got interested in this stuff. Now, my cameraman failed. He had his thumb in front of it and it weren't a very good example. So I've put a clip in of my mate doing a pan, and what he's panning out here is moss, what we washed out in a bucket, and then the soil and stuff from the moss we wash out. It's very good, there's some good gold in it. So I've played it at normal speed. I've showed it before or somewhere at high speed, but it's played at normal speed so it gives you a better idea. And I've tried to explain how I test on the bank, because I took my pan and a shovel with me, of course, as I was down by the river. I've tried to explain how and where and why I test, so I'll not go blah blah blah. This is a long video. I'll get on with it. First 6 minutes at the demonstration at panning, by the way. Nice to be nice.
Mario's, yeah. Just going to wash this out. Again, that much material. Seat moss in it. The thing is with this, you've got to properly check it down. It's so fine, this material, but there's a lot of black sand in it. Mario's better than I am. This is, mind you, he's been doing it for about 10 years, a bit longer maybe. It's all yours?
It's all yours, yeah. 10 years, yes.
I think everybody's got a little bit of a different technique, but this is how I learn it.
It's coming the black sand. You look.
You can see black sand at the back.
Black sand,
Yeah. There's a lot of black sand in there. I feel it though.
Yep. Here is gold.
Yeah. It's gold soil.
Yeah, here is gold.
Yeah. Already. Just for a little bit of moss.
When I see the gold, I finish the washing out and make the shake.
And you give it a shake and bring the gold back down to the lowest point again. Pulling the bits out underwater so the gold doesn't stick to your fingers. And you can go faster than this obviously, but it's just to give you a quick demonstration. And because this is so fine, if you can catch this stuff, then you're doing something right, you know. Normally what Mario does with this is takes it home and washes it out with a blue bowl.
Gold. The overside, that's not good. I'll make this the overside. You look here.
Some down there as well. Move that to back. I don't know if you can see that on this film, but there's quite a lot of gold in there. It's all fine for that back edge there, if I can zoom in. See that in the middle of it? No finger. So, an all round edge. A lot of black sand, considering it's only moss.
Grades don't go too much for the fine gold.
Yeah. Yeah, the fine stuff catches on stones. It's better to pick it out underwater with wet fingers.
Yeah, first iron.
Ja, only the albitsely.
The circle.
Lands cleaning nagel.
Oh, schön.
Ja, kom hop hop. He must wash ya. Got the fever.
Go on, the game on.
Yeah. On the gold again. You know we're on the gold again. Squatty. There's a good 100 pieces in there. See, if you're doing it right, you're getting that stuff that's so fine. You think that you're catching that, and it's not pouring it out of the pan. So you know your panning is pretty good if you can get them small pieces.
It's 99.8 carat.
99.8
Yes.
carat. 24 carat. Yeah. That's some of the purest gold in the world. In fact, because of size.
Nice,
Mainly.
huh?
There's got to be 100 pieces there. And that's just one little bucket of moss. That will keep my winter fever into check. Now that rock's just made a liar out of me. I've had 3 pans from behind it and not found a speck. It's not to say that there's not gold in there. What I'm going to do now is I'll take another couple of samples. I'll show you where I'm taking them and try and explain again why. So I'm taking a pan from there where shovel's stuck in. This is on this bank as it's coming round here. Beginnings of banks are always better than the tail end of the bank because the gold's hitting it here first and it's got more chance of getting caught up before it rolls down. And I have tested this already, so I've tested it water and I've tested it middle and I've tested along bank, and like I said, I'd dig a trench on here to find, because it's not as wide, and you can dig a trench and find where better gold is, and obviously you can go deeper. I mean, next spring I'll punch a hole in this and, well, try and find a decent patch of streak of gold and then punch down as far as we can and test it as we go and sluice it. But I'll pan that out and see what's in there, but it should catch up here because I know there's gold in there, like I mentioned before. I know there's gold bearing rivers coming into here, and from what I've tested on this bank quite far down, I'm still finding little specks. It's very fine, but it's still there. And what happens is this turbulence gets caught up, makes turbulence here with water's eye, and drops the gold into the bank, but not behind that rock I've just looked at. That's always a good side, or a bad side. Big piece of chunk of metal. If you're getting chunks of metal, it means heavy stuff's depositing where you're digging. Nails, lead shot, all that stuff's good signs that you're looking at sort of right places. Now there are 2 pieces in that. 1, is just there at the end of my finger, and there's another one which is again at the end of my finger. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. That's the difference between this river and the other one. That's just again from just in front of that bank. So what I do then is I'd work my way that way until we're finding more, and then dig that and sluice it. But I took about 50 flakes out of 2 buckets last week out of here, so I know it's here, and I know like if I were shoveling it'd pay to sluice it. But I say I like that other river, it's smaller, you tend to find some chunkier stuff on it. So yeah, I tested behind that rock and found gold there. That's the difference between treasure and treasure. Look, that's the treasure my kids would like to bring home. And where I did them 2 sample buckets were there, and I got 50 pieces out of that, so I know there's just a decent amount of gold there. But again, I'm going to try and prove the theory about behind rocks. I'm going to dig behind that. It's not water's line, like I said. Depending on what size of gold as well, really light, small stuff will be deposited nearer to the bank. Heavier stuff might not as travel as high, so you could get an heavier deposit of a bigger gold further down bank. And if you're dealing with bedrock, then you know your gold, most of your gold's laid on that as it's worked its way down over time. But what we're dealing with here is just flood gold. And there's 2 more, look, you can see them, they're a little bit bigger from behind that rock. So I took another one out from behind there and found another little tiny speck. I thought I'd do a pan from behind there just to show you the difference. I've had 3 specks out of that so far with 2 pans. Out of that I've just took there, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's at least 10 pieces in that. They're small, but that's where I'd be wanting to dig. That's where I should be shoveling if I were doing my sluice. And that's just because I took tests all the way along until I found where it's good. I generally do start one at side at bank and one at side at river and work my way to the middle, because bank's usually the best place, to be honest, because when the water is high that's where it's travelling, and it'll go deeper into that. All I've done is there's a clay layer under that, as I showed last time, and I'd go down to clay layer there. I might even try punching through this clay layer. There'll be another clay layer underneath probably, or there might be another deposit of gold, you never know. But thing is, here, wherever this is public land like this, I know people walk down here with dogs, I know people fish on here, I know kids play on here, so it's imperative if I dig anything here, I've got to fill holes in for safety reasons. I know I mentioned that yesterday, but here it's more imperative than it is in Wold. If I were digging in water, which there's always a possibility because there's still gold deposited there, if I were to dig deeper I might find a better deposit of bigger stuff, getting down to bedrock again. I wouldn't have to fill that in, but anywhere on banks I always fill holes in, and I can only work, I can't go further than that bank, I can't go up that bank. This is classed as riverbed, so I can work on riverbed. This is deposited, this is always moving, that's constant. I can't dig into that bank there, that's the law here. So I mean, there's a lot of things what you have to find out, if you know, regarding that. You don't want to spoil it for everybody else, because they could just ban gold panning if they wanted to. Here they're quite tolerant. There's no commercial mines here what I know of, so therefore you're not competing with them, they're not trying to close everything down, you know what I mean. And amounts of gold are minimal, as you can see. They're probably worth one of them pieces what I find on other river, or 1.5, but I still find pieces that small. But as I said, I mean I sort of made this video for you, Jeff, so you could sort of have a look around, you know, and see how to do some tests. I said behind rocks, inside curves, mate. Yeah, that's your best place. Oh, that's the difference between treasure and treasure. And that's the second pan from there, same spot. There's 9 pieces in there, so I'm basically getting, well, if I put 2 classified shovels through this pan, I'm getting 10 pieces per pan, you know what I mean, it only takes a couple of shovels to fill this up. And I said that's took it from there. I mean, I've proven point. I know where I'm going to be looking here, but if I were looking on smaller, you know, prospecting it, that's how you're doing it. And I've already done this work on here. And tested further down, so I know there's actually gold further down there as well, which is a good thing. I could probably test up way along this edge here and find similar results to that. If you're looking at that, there's potentially quite a bit of gold, you know what I mean? But there's nobody digging here, because nobody's ever said, everybody said, nah, there's no gold in there. And people believe that. I don't believe everything I hear, so I have to go and test the reasoning on that, and it pays off sometimes. And another thing is, if you're digging in places where there's known gold, let's say, the Knapfjord for instance, you always find gold up there, but you've got to realise that people are digging through that and cleaning that dirt on a regular basis. It might have been, that entire river might have been cleaned 10 times, if you understand what I mean. You've got an inside bank here. There's going to be 20 people who have been working on this for the last 10 years. So therefore, it's been cleaned and cleaned and cleaned and cleaned. This has never been cleaned. So what potentially could be in here is quite a bit of gold. I don't know about big stuff, because as I said, we're in lowlands here, and the bigger stuff won't have travelled that far, unless it got caught up in a glacier, deposited as a bigger piece. I'm not saying nuggets, but if it was deposited as a bigger piece, then it's quite possible that there's some bigger pieces in here. Again, you'll settle into the deepest parts, so bedrock, wherever it'll stop.
So guys, that's the result of that little trip. That's actually 90% of that is from just 2 pans. There's about 26 pieces there, I think, in total. It's all very fine, but as I said, where you're digging on that street when you found it, it all adds up. This, in comparison, is from what I got yesterday, and 23rd. You see difference in size in it. That one piece there in the middle of the screen's probably weighs as much as all that there. But I'm doing 3 or 4 pans for one of them. I'm getting 10 of them for 1 pan. That's the difference. This I have to work up and down river, looking at all different places, but again it's on bedrock. That's out of gravel from flood. So that's difference. It's going to be interesting to see how much weight I'm going to get out of this from this river in spring, because I'll do a sluice, and it'll be very interesting just to see